This is our first Plasticity Forum. So I don't know if I can even concentrate on my presentation versus what I've been seeing from everyone today. It's quite an exciting time for us. And what I thought I'd do is just take you through kind of an introduction of Avery Dennison, what we do, and then some things that we've been working on in our sustainability journey. So we make labels, as we've just talked about. So one of those packaging components for the big brands. We label shampoo bottles, household goods. We label poly bags and corrugate boxes with mailing labels. Essentially a lot of the single-use plastics that we've been talking about. We have a global presence. We manufacture in every region around the world. We have local sales and technology people that are in each of the regions. So we have this balance of an organization that has this global big company presence, but our customers truly do demand that personal attention when you get to the country level. Stan Avery, our namesake, founded the pressure-sensitive industry. We used to also convert the labels, meaning print the labels, but over time we just gradually went to just being the laminators and truly the material scientists is how we see ourselves behind how labels perform, whether they need to be removed, if they have to stay on in cold conditions, how they're shipped, how they hold up. Our core expertise is how a label behaves on a package. But with that, we also see it as a responsibility because a lot of our customers, we have thousands of customers who print labels around the world. And as sustainable packaging has become one of the hottest topics, they're coming to us to figure out what does that mean. Our sustainability journey started about 12 years ago when Greenpeace sent a letter to our then CEO, he's now retired, asking how we source our pulp. And I think his answer was a great question. So from there, we've kind of been on this journey where I think he went to Guatemala, he was in Brazil and Indonesia, we partnered with Rainforest Alliance, and it truly drove for our organization, starting with procurement, the transparency of what we're doing to source our products. In 2015, we launched an official 2025 sustainability program where we committed to 8 sustainability goals. So we're moving beyond that procurement to really looking at our value chain. Half of the goals had to do with internal, I'll say, direct metrics. So they were metrics around how we're sourcing. It was looking at our operations, around recyclability within our operations, greenhouse gas emissions, energy reductions. I have some of the results up here. And then the other half of the goals that we committed to had to do actually outside of our organization. So one of them, we call it external waste. So we've committed to helping our customers and brands recycle 70% of the waste byproduct that's created by using labels. Another metric that we have was that 70% of our products will enable sustainable packaging. And I think the reason why we put those extra goals in there, or the external goals, is it's forcing our organization to think a little bit differently about what impact we're having on the environment versus just what we're doing internally. We've also had to work with our marketing, sales, and technology teams because it's almost a new muscle. You know, we know people work at Avery Dennison for 10, 20 years. They know everything about a label, but they've never really had to think about after it leaves our facility or after it's on the store shelf, what might happen to it. So a lot of my role over the last 3 years that I've been in this job has been, one, to make it relevant for employees. I think this topic is interesting because now it's a new lens that almost everyone in packaging has to put on their job and their role and their metrics. It's not just the cost out, it's not just their margins, but how is this going to perform in the environment? And then also to make it simple. I think we have to give people kind of like a landing path around how they can help us to get to sustainable packaging. You may have seen this picture. It's from the National Geographic Planet or Plastic issue. And for us, this has been kind of an icon around what's been going on, because if you read part of this definition, it says a family removes labels from plastic bottles in order to make it recyclable. So regardless of, at least for our employees, regardless of where you live, the legislation that's happening, how much you may or may not recycle, at least our business is now reliant upon a business model where labels can be removed in order to enable recycling. Our senior leaders, they meet annually to do strategic planning. This year they met in Hong Kong, and about 2 weeks before the meeting, I got a call saying, hey, Renae, can you set up a speaker to come in? Just someone to help educate us a little bit. And I stumbled upon, actually, I just was Googling, I ran into Doug's profile, introduced him to the team, and he actually took our senior leaders out on the, they were meeting in Hong Kong, he took them on the out on the Hong Kong harbor, and talked to them about the plastic. They saw the plastic, and it was such an impactful visit for our senior leaders who traditionally, I was almost, sustainability was something that was done on the side, and Renae, present your few slides versus being within our strategies. But I think every one of those leaders came back to their organizations, if they're a regional leader or a functional leader, and two things. One, we need to make sustainability at the core of our strategies. One, because it just is the right thing to do. And secondly, in addition to the 8 goals, they came up with their own plastic pledge. And the plastic pledge was, by the end of 2019, Avery Dennison, our division, would eliminate all single-use plastics, which was interesting since we label a lot of single-use plastics. So at first, I was talking about it with the sustainability team. We said, well, what are we going to tell employees and what will they be thinking? But as we had a lot of discussion, we actually were meeting as a global team in Bangkok. We talked about it for about 3 hours. We said, if there's not a way to better get all of the employees centered around sustainable packaging, is why not just do it ourselves? Proud to say that actually in our Brazilian location, our Latin America location, they'll have eliminated all single-use plastics by the end of this year. And in our North American headquarters, we've actually already reduced 1 ton of waste. And this has truly been done in the last 8 weeks. So it's also kind of a proof point for our organization of, if we can do this ourselves, we also have the know-how in order to enable sustainable packaging. So some things that we've been working on. So over the last few years, there were obviously I talked about the external waste. So as you're going through and labeling a package, if you're using a pressure sensitive label, there's always a paper or a PET backing on the back of that label. And after it's applied to the bottle, it's byproduct, if we're being nice, but it's waste. And so we set out, we wanted to make sure that everyone understood how to recycle and that we could have a global network of recycling for that waste. So we did a global study. Someone talked about data. We understood that 36% of the liner was being recycled. Our goal is 70. So we have a global team deployed actually in every region around the world, and we're working country by country to set up this global network. It works twofold. On one hand, we have current recycling systems where trucks are coming to pick up mixed papers, taking away the liner. And then in other geographies, I'd say recyclers are hesitant if they can actually recycle it because there is a silicone coating. So we work with understanding what the capability might be. So the case study I have up here is one that we just did with L'Oreal out of Australia. So also what we found to be successful is the use of case studies and showing people what's possible. Again, it's kind of that landing path around what we can possibly do. The second one is our Clean Flake product, which you might be, which you might be familiar with. So Clean Flake, essentially it's pretty self-descriptive, but it works on PET packaging. It's a pressure-sensitive label that when it goes through the PET recycling process, the label cleanly removes, the label floats, the PET sinks, and you have clean PET flake. So it started as kind of a niche product in the US. It was actually for the Simply Orange packaging. It was a niche, it was a high end, it was a cost in. However, with the acceleration of the need for PET plastic recycling, we've actually looking to globally deploy this. We have about 6 months, we're trying to get it up and running with local manufacturing, because as someone had just mentioned, it cannot also be a cost in. So it's a product that we're being able to bring to market using our scale in order to give people an option to cleanly recycle PET if you're using pressure sensitive at the same cost that you have today. The last one is around partnerships. So Plasticity, this is kind of our newest partnership that we have. Like I said, we're Rainforest Alliance, we're part of Sustainable Packaging Coalition, and really different agencies all around the world. Within each region, we're trying to target who are kind of those organizations where we can get recyclers together and learn about what's happening. And Neil is here with me. He runs our South Asia business. And it was interesting, as we've been sitting here today, we've been struggling finding recyclers. And everyone keeps telling us, well, there aren't recyclers and no one wants to recycle and you can't recycle. And all I'm hearing about is all this recycling, which is super exciting because I have a bunch of stuff that needs to be recycled. So already, Doug, I think this paid off. So the future of packaging, that was the title of the slide the communications group gave to me. And I think right now we don't know the future of packaging. Ian kind of said it the best. It could go maybe one of 4 different routes. And for us, what we're trying to do is making sure that we're prepared on all fronts. We're looking at both ends of it. So we're looking at recycled content. How are we making sure that we're getting recycled content in our films, in our paper, and then also at the end of life, regardless of what package that it's on, that it works within the recycling stream. I'm at 0. Hope that wasn't too quick, but thank you everyone for your time.